So first of all, what does aesthetics mean? Aesthetics just means training for looks. We want to appeal to the female gaze. The female gaze basically just means what attracts a female, what turns a woman's head. A woman's head turns when they see an attractive physique. A female gaze basically just means what do they find attractive. They find a very aesthetic physique attractive. So aesthetics can go two ways. Either one, you can go for the more TikTok boyish physique, or you can go for the full-on bodybuilder physique. Bodybuilder is more like Sebum, Sam Sulek, and those types. Or you can go the more, what's his name? Alex something, the blonde guy with the long hair. Just the more TikTok boyish physique. Other than those two, the really only other option that you have is to be more of a power lifter. Those aren't physiques, they're just going for full-on strength. So you can go one of two ways, strength or aesthetics. Obviously, a lot of people would choose aesthetics for the sole purpose of attracting more women. Because be honest with yourself, a lot of people do train for aesthetics, go to the gym to get more women. Just to be more attractive. Why do you want to be more attractive? Because you want to get more women. And if you don't know, I teach about this a lot in my program down in the description, so go check that out if you are interested in building the body of your dreams. So there's a couple principles that you want to keep in mind. You want to keep in mind that for training aesthetics, you want to get the biggest stretch possible. With the biggest stretch possible, you can basically your muscles send signals to your brain saying, hey, we need to build muscles. There's a couple muscles that we want to keep in mind, the 7 aesthetics muscles, as I like to call them. Number 1 is the neck, then the traps, then the lateral delts. The lateral delts is just the wide part of the shoulder right here. Upper chest, biceps, and abs. These are the 7 aesthetic muscles. If you apply these principles that I'm going to tell you right now to these muscles, then you will guaranteed be more aesthetic and you'll just attract more women. You'll be much better looking. So number 1 is a range of motion. Range of motion just means how far are you bringing down the weight. I'll use a dumbbell chest press as an example. When you're bringing it down, you want to bring it down as much as possible. So let's say right now, you're bringing it down to just here, just to your chest, and then you're bringing it up. Your muscles are only stretching just about that much. What if I told you could do it more? You could stretch it even more to build more muscle. When you're bringing it down, bring the dumbbells out a little bit wider and then go below your chest. I can't do it right now because I'm on the chair, but bring it below your chest, and instead of stretching like this when you're going just down to your shoulder, when you're going below it, you'll stretch it more like that. And you'll feel it go tight and you'll feel the stretch much better. Also for curls, when you're curling with a dumbbell, you don't get that much of a stretch because a lot of gravity is doing the work and because you're going to be bending over unconsciously. So with the dumbbells, you're going to be curling like that, but you're literally going to be swinging it. Your body is going to be doing a lot of the work. We don't want that. So this is where principle number 2 comes in. We want to do as many exercises using a cable or a machine as much as possible. Obviously, there are some very, very good dumbbell and free weight exercises like the one I just showed you, the incline dumbbell chest press. However, there are better ones. Like for a chest, for example, there's the incline chest fly, cable chest flies, like that. Of course, if you apply the same principle, you'll get an insane stretch. But the reason the stretch for a cable machine is much better than a dumbbell is because you're fighting against the weight. You're fighting against the cable. Whereas with a dumbbell, you're only fighting against gravity. And also, you're not getting the best stretch possible because, of course, like I said before, your body is doing a lot of the work. You're inadvertently going to be bending over just a little bit. So I'll go back to the example that I was using just before this with a curl. With a dumbbell, you're literally going to be bending over like that, and you're going to be swinging it up. We don't want that. We want to isolate as much of the weight as possible into our biceps or whatever workout we're doing. Instead of the dumbbell curl, we can do a cable curl. This way, our body is basically going to be standing still, and the only thing doing the work is our biceps. So, with our biceps, right? With a dumbbell curl, we're going to be like this. We're going to bring it up with our body like that. And of course, our bicep is going to be doing a lot of the work because obviously that's just how the range of motion is. But our body is going to be doing a lot of the work. However, with a cable, our arm is basically stabilized like this. And it's same thing with preacher curls. Your arm, when it stretches in the eccentric phase, it basically stretches as much as possible. And it's basically stabilized like that. Same on the way up. And if you didn't know, eccentric and concentric basically just mean eccentric is the stretching phase and concentric is the contracting phase. And if you don't know, I teach about this a lot in my program down in the description, so go check that out if you are interested in building the body of your dreams. The next thing that we want to prioritize is the actual exercises. Like I just taught you, there are different exercises for different parts of the muscle. Like with the curl, you want to do as many of your workouts on the cables because it's just a better stretch, and honestly, it's safer. Honestly. You want to use these isolation workouts as much as possible. Like, for example, chest press. Chest press, dumbbell chest presses are very good if you do it like I just taught you, where you like put your arms down like here and you get the biggest stretch possible in your chest. However, if you do how I told you before, if you do a cable chest press, then you'll get a much better stretch in your chest. And of course, the last thing that I'm going to tell you is form. Form over weight. Don't ego lift. I would rather you do, I don't know, 20 reps over 10 reps, but with a proper form. 20 reps in proper form, you'll gain much more than 10 reps, but you're lifting like an idiot. The biggest example that I can think of right now is the chest press. So I'll go back with the dumbbells, right? A lot of people, what they do is they bring their arms up like this at a 90-degree angle. This is wrong because it doesn't hit the chest as much as you want to. And also, like I said before, the range of motion isn't going to be as good as you can. When you do it like this, your dumbbells are just going to be stopped at your shoulders. But if you move your arms down to a 45-degree angle and move your dumbbells just a little bit out, it'll target the stretch a lot more. And you can bring the dumbbells down a lot further. This way you can maximize your gains. Do this, follow what I told you just today, and also a lot more in the description below in the program, and you'll guaranteed build a lot more muscle. So do check out that program down in the description below, and subscribe here, like, and I'll see you next time.